Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Stotara Parakacharya's Divine Grace Abhay Charananavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Faracharya BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai. So this is continuing our study. Yesterday we took a break and heard from Prabhupada, but today we'll resume our study of the 10th canto when Uddhava, as a representative of Krishna, comes to Vrindavan to speak to the residents and assuage them of their doubts that Krishna will return. So right now he's talking to Krishna's beloved Yashoda Mai, his mom, and his dad, Nanda Maharaj. And this is text 34. Agya mishyatya dirgena kalena brajamachyutya Priyam vidashyate pitror Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Agyamishyatarirgena Kalena brajamachyutya Priyam vidashyate pitror Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Agamishyatarirgena Kalena brajamachyutya Priyam Vidashyate Pitror Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyate Dirgena Kalena Brajamachuta Priyam Vidashyate Pitror Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyate Dirgena Kalena Brajamachuta Vyamridashyate Pitrur Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyate Dirgena Kalena Brajamachuta Priyam Vidashyate Pitrur Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyate Dirgena Kalena Brajamachuta Priyam Vidashyate Pitrur Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyate Dirgena Kalena Brajamachuta Priyam Vidashyate Pitrur Bhagavan Sattvatam Bhati Agamishyati He will return. Adirgena Not long. Kalena In time. Brajam To Braja. Achutya Krishna, the infallible one. Priyam Satisfaction. Vidashyate He will give. Pitruha To his parents. Bhagavan The Supreme Lord. Sattvatam Of the devotees. Pati Master and Protector. Translation. Infallible Krishna, the Lord of the devotees, will soon return to Braja to satisfy his parents. Please repeat. Infallible Krishna, the Lord of the devotees, will soon return to Braja to satisfy his parents. Purport. Here Uddhava begins to deliver Lord Krishna's message. Om Jnanatana Mandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Nidhitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Paschatyati Shatadine Namo Mahavidanya Krishna Premadayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gunatase Namaha Brahmanataya Jagatitaya Krishna Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Jnanatana Mandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we've been hearing about Uddhava, who has been sent by Krishna. And just, I'm sure everybody knows the backstory, but I was sort of really thinking about it today. So Nanda Maharaj and everyone went to Mathura, and they saw Krishna dispatch Kansa. And of course that was very satisfying, since Kansa was giving so much trouble, and he was, acting kind of a little outlandishly, particularly with the Brajbasis. And then Krishna and Balaram, presumably because they had went there for the wrestling match and then they wrapped it up with the dispatch of Kamsa, presumably they would be coming back to Vrindavan, right? I mean, that's what probably Krishna's parents and the gopis and the friends all thought, because his business in Mathura was finished. But he didn't come back right away anyway, but in their minds, he wasn't coming back. He was in Mathura, and he wasn't coming back, and they were extremely distraught to think that, okay, Krishna did his business, and now he's not returning to us. And it was incredibly heartbreaking and heart-wrenching and just intolerable, really, because Krishna is the life, the wealth and the life of the gopis and his parents and his friends. So it was really quite astonishing to them and extremely heartbreaking that they weren't returning at the same time. So then Krishna, knowing, of course, what's in their heart, sends his very good friend, says his cousin, but it's his very good friend, Uddhava, who also looks like Krishna, so much so that they couldn't be told apart sometimes. It was hard to tell them apart right off the get-go. He looks like Krishna. He's very well-spoken. He's very charming. He's, hopefully meant to be sent there as a soothing balm to the hearts of the Brajbasis. So when Uddhava gets to Braja and he starts to actually see kind of the devastation that the Brajbasis are feeling, they're feeling, just completely downtrodden and heartbroken. So he starts to practically see that in his interactions, Uddhava. And when he begins to talk to the parents of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda, there's such an outpouring of love and affection, and it's actually quite astonishing to Uddhava to see the parents so much just captivated to the point that they, their daily lives are being affected. They can't really function correctly. And so he begins to give them his version of the story, or what Krishna has told him to deliver the message. And up to this point, he's actually just been kind of consoling or empathizing with Nanda and Yashoda. He's been very carefully validating all of their feelings, because I'm sure everyone's had the experience, if you're attempting to maybe talk to somebody about a subject that is extremely sensitive to someone, there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of emotions that come out. And it's a little hard to reason with that person. Sometimes people are a little unreasonable when they're so filled with emotion. What to speak of the ecstatic emotion of separation that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda are feeling. So Uddhava, he's going to try his best. He's attempting to feel their pain, and he expresses that to them, that he's sort of feeling their pain, and he's able to understand what they're going through. So now, after telling Nanda and Yashoda all the things that, he feels like might be soothing and helpful and hopefully ameliorates their pain a little bit, he tells them the thing that they actually, everything else didn't matter, but he tells them the thing that they actually want and need to hear, that Krishna will be returning back soon to see you and to satisfy you and to resume, that kind of very intimate relationship that everybody relishes so much, that everybody's so used to. And of course, I was thinking about it, they're so in despair and they're so, they're practically, they can't even think straight. So this particular one line is completely to them satisfying in a way that, is indescribable. They knowing that Krishna is going to be returning soon to that, and they can see him, and they can, hug him, and they can, do all the things that parents would do to a beloved son. And let's remember that Krishna was still very young at this point. He wasn't like a man. He wasn't even a teenager. It doesn't seem. I think he was still 8 or 10, 11. Yeah. Yeah, so he's still, but that's young, He's a kid. He's practically not too far out of babydom, I have a 16-year-old and 11, but the difference between 11 and 16, it's quite large, actually. They're much more mature and, they're kind of on track to be a man, but Krishna was still just a boy. He wasn't really, I'm sure to his mother, she was fearing at every minute that her precious son was not well. He was being, not taken care of. He was maybe being hurt. He was, out alone. That's a lot of a burden that a parent might have for their child, their young child. So, here Uddhava says, infallible Krishna, the Lord of devotees, will soon return to Braja. And I was thinking about particularly the term infallible, achyuta, which, that's actually one of Krishna's forms even, Lord Achyuta. He holds 4 things in different orders: club, lotus, conch shell, mace. He holds these things as Lord Achyuta. So he's actually kind of, he is worshipable, but he's also his own form in that form, Achyuta, which means infallible. And I was just looking up infallible, and, it means without fail, but it's funny because the dictionary says one who is unable to make a mistake, which is interesting for us as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, because we know that the 4 basically the 4 built-in tenets of being a human, one of them is the tendency to commit mistakes. So actually the term infallible for like everybody on the earth planet is pretty much non-existent. Everybody's fallible. Prabhupada even said a long time ago about his fallible soldiers, but he was encouraging and supporting those fallible soldiers. Prabhupada knew that anybody can fall down at any minute, and that's something that as Bhakti Yoga practitioners, I feel like maybe we don't keep in mind as we're practicing our Bhakti Yoga. We don't think about those things because it's also said that Lord Krishna's devotees are infallible, and they're called achyutama. They're like achyutamam. They're like infallible. The devotees of Lord Krishna are said to be infallible because if you're actually a devotee, which I heard recently from I believe it was His Holiness Sri Krishnadas Goswami was talking about the difference between devotees and Vaishnavas, and it's actually different. Devotee means that you're 100% wholly, solely devoted, in this case to Krishna. For us, it's Krishna, the service of Krishna, like that, 100%. And that would, if you're 100% devoted, you should also be 100% infallible, right? Because devotees are achyutatma. They're infallible for Krishna service. But, you know, we're also in the material world, and we're also jiva souls, and one of our main sort of issues in these bodies or in this time and place is that we have the tendency to commit mistakes. So for us, trying to be infallible seems like kind of unreachable, I would say, for myself. You know, it seems like quite a tall order. I mean, we try our best every day to always be in the moment and make the decisions that we need to make in the moment to the accepting Krishna, accepting whatever's favorable in Krishna's service and rejecting everything that's unfavorable. I mean, that's basically you know, if we're really wanting to buckle down and be achyuta mam, then we have to look on those tracks. But anyway, I'm diverting. So the word achyuta, or the name achyuta, actually, which is a primary name of Krishna, is mentioned so many times in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure, you know, as we hear about different passages in the Bhagavad Gita, and if you just look up that word in the Bhagavad Gita, there's so many times, just innumerable times practically, that Sri Arjuna addresses Krishna as achyuta. As soon as Arjuna is able to understand that Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead, which it seems like he does so early in the Bhagavad Gita, then most of the time he's actually addressing him as achyuta, or infallible one, or one that does not fall down, or one that does not commit mistakes. And as we think about that name, you know, like, since it's, well, primary is actually Govinda or Gopal, it's a secondary. So if we think about that name of Krishna, achyuta, and what the connotation is, and also how, as sort of servants of, I'll say servants, not devotees, but how servants, or Vaishnavas, those who are taking the service of Vishnu or Krishna on our head. That's Vaishnava, so it's a little bit different. Because, you know, whatever we're doing is going to have some kind of fault, just because we're in this material realm and we don't really have access to a higher way to do whatever we're doing at, to be infallible, I'll say. Although that's our meditation, or should be, right? That should be our meditation, is to be that infallible 100%, you know, or as much as 100% as we can get, infallible servants of Krishna, or infallible devotees of Krishna. So just thinking about, you know, that, and it means a lot. It means a lot as practitioners to get to that point, because that would mean that we would have to really stop and think about how we're conducting our day-to-day lives, how we're speaking to people, how we're treating others, how we're performing our devotional service, executing our devotional service, even down to our mindset when we're doing that service, or when we're with other aspiring devotees. You know, we're all aspiring devotees, right? When we're with other aspiring devotees, how we deal in those situations. And it's quite difficult when we're, you know, we're conditioned. We're dealing with our minds and our bodies, you know, the threefold miseries even. Because, you know, I will say that Adi Atmik, Adi Baudik, and Adi Daivik are always pressing down, but sometimes maybe not all three are pressing down hard at once. Maybe sometimes just 2 out of the 3 are pressing down, but then sometimes all 3 come down, And, it's hard to know what's right. It's hard to know how to conduct yourself in a manner that's pleasing to all sides, right? And that takes a lot of prayer and a lot of practice, I'll say. But I was actually just looking up this word and how Prabhupada talked about achyuta, and he talked about it. So, he mentioned it a lot in his purports, even, or in his descriptions of Krishna. Most likely, so we could understand that it's a primary quality of Krishna. That's he has all these various qualities, and of course, devotees have those qualities in much more minute degree. But Prabhupada actually talked about this quite a lot, and I just wanted to read a couple of quotes from Prabhupada because it just kind of gives a full perspective on what we're striving for. Because I feel like, when we're executing our bhakti yoga, our sadhana bhakti practice, and we're thinking about, we get up each day and we sort of have our routine, and we know we have set things to do, but, we never know what's going to come at us along the way, right? From the threefold miseries. We never know. And to try to just sort of be, a little swan-like and be above a lot of those, I'll say, not so relishable instances where we have our idea that we're going to do this, and praying to Krishna that we're able to do those things, but then become diverted, then our behavior becomes chutya. So this is from a lecture in Los Angeles. Srila Prabhupada says, the original form is Krishna, Advaita Achyutyam, Anandim Anantarupam. So that's in the Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Krishna, Advaita, one. There is no second, I mean to say counterpart, but he expands, Advaita Achyutyam, Achyutya. Achyutya means which does not fall down, Achyutya. Chutya means fall down. So God's another name for achyuta, never falls down. Just like we living entities, we fall down. From spiritual world, we fall down. Because we have fallen down, therefore, we have got this material body, but Krishna or God never falls down. Advaitam, achyutam, anandim, anantarupam. So and then when we hear about these things, Prabhupada keeps pushing that point, that Krishna is infallible. And from the aspiring devotee's standpoint, and knowing our own frailties, knowing our own minds, knowing how we operate in daily life, knowing some of our weaknesses, and how, we need to kind of patch those things up so we can be stronger going forward, hearing that, and keep hearing again and again and again that Krishna is infallible, he's achyuta, it's very comforting and reassuring. Much like when Uddhava was talking to his parents. Because of course Krishna would come back and visit his parents. Of course he would go back to Braja eventually when his business is finished. Of course he would, it's not even a question really. I mean, of course he's going to always do the right thing. He knows what the right thing is. So of course he's going to do the right thing. There's absolutely zero question. And, at the same time, Uddhava has to reassure, because when you're in that state of just shock and pain and, just never knowing if you'll see your beloved boy again, it's hard to sort of see through all of that and see the reality that Krishna is achyuta. If you simply chant Hare Krishna, this is seva, and if you take prasadam, then your business begins immediately. Sevan muke hi jivadu swayam eva sporataha. And if you simply continue this seva, then Krishna will reveal himself, and gradually he will give you intelligence how you can make advancement to go back to home, back to Godhead. Na hyachutam prinayato. Achutam, Krishna is achuta. Achuta means who never falls down or never withdraws his promise. That is achuta. Just like we promise something, but sometimes we do not keep. This is material world. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna says, his name is Achuta, means never fall down. Just like Arjuna asked Krishna, Ratam stapayam me Achuta. He's ordering Krishna to drive the chariot. He knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is my duty to serve him, but he has agreed to become my chariot driver, so now I have to order him. He has agreed to become my chariot driver. Therefore, he is reminding Krishna, do not take it otherwise because I am ordering you. You are not to be ordered, but you order everyone. Now I am ordering you, but you are Achuta. You are never fallible. You never withdraw your word. And that actually is the position of a devotee or aspiring devotee. I mean, obviously Arjuna is a devotee. An aspiring devotee, because we know that Krishna carries what we have and carries what we lack and preserves what we have. So, he's reciprocating at all times with us. Even maybe we don't realize it. But the closer we're getting and the, how we're taking steps toward Krishna and we're trying our very best, given this time, place, and circumstances, because as Prabhupada said, it's a material world. Sometimes we can't keep a promise. I'm sure everybody's had that experience where you have all intention to do something, and you've even, made a plan, and it's imbibed. Something happens, you can't do it, just for some reason. And sometimes it causes a bit of a problem, not only with the person that you promised, but also with yourself, because you were bound. And it's frustrating to not be able to follow through, right? But Krishna always follows through. He's bound to reciprocate with his earnest and sincere and enthusiastic devotee, aspiring devotee. He's bound to reciprocate. And that's our rightful claim. I can never remember the verse, but there's some verse in the 10th chapter, 18 maybe, 10:18 something, 36, where he talks about, we as practitioners, we just have to continually think of Krishna and try to work towards being able to serve him despite so many challenges, despite so many setbacks, and despite our own body and minds. And Krishna will take care of us in the end, and we should expect that because it's our rightful claim. Yeah. So, we have that going for us. That verse and that whole mood is what keeps me going personally. Because, no matter how many times you fall off the horse, again and again and again and again, I mean, it's expected. You can't really see it as like a blow to the ego or something that, is going to take you out permanently. We can't really think like that, fortunately. We just have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, get back on the horse, and keep on, trying to move forward. I am also Chit, and Krishna is also Chit, Sat Chit Ananda, and I am also Sat Chit Ananda in small part, and because I am a very small particle, I forget my real nature. I identify with this material, Matha Adyaha. This is fallen down. This is fallen, a spark. Spark is fire, and the big fire is fire, but sometimes it is thrown. Vat, it sometimes falls down. So that small particle falls down. The big fire never falls down. Therefore, Krishna's another name is Achyuta. Achyuta means he never falls down. We, a small particle of the Achyuta, although by nature we are Achyuta, but due to our weakness, we are prone to fall down in this material world. That is our position. But again, we can be reinstated in our original position by cultivating Krishna consciousness. And how can we be reinstated? By cultivating our Krishna consciousness, by constantly remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna, and trying again and again and again and again and again, despite so many obstacles, because, you know, we're in this world and Maya's going to keep throwing them at us, big and small. You know, it seems like I can say that if you're really trying to be fixed in your devotional service, that maybe the obstacles, maybe it's just a perception, they seem small, or maybe Maya actually realizes that, and I know that Krishna does sort of put a bubble up around, so, you know, maybe there's not so much opportunity to get in. But sometimes Maya will throw a biggie, like a big one, like a real big one, that it's a little overwhelming. And then you have to, you know, just sort of pray and take shelter of other devotees to try to get through it, and scriptures and guru and all of the things that we're taught, guru, sadhu, and shastra. Okay, yeah, 10-14-08. I don't know why I can never remember. Yeah, it's let me read it for everybody. This is also in the 10th chapter. Early on. And this is in, oh yeah, Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So it's tate nukapam susamikshama bunjana evatma kritam vipakam Hridvag vapurbir vidadan namaste jiveta yo mukta pade sadaya bhakt. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So that's one thing we can all just sort of hang our hat on, tolerating those past sinful reactions, tolerating our misdeeds, tolerating the adhyatmic, adhibautic, adhidaivik, just tolerate. Actually, one time, I forgot what the context was. It was something heated about something, and my guru looked at me and he said, all we can do is tolerate and chant Hare Krishna. And, you know, I think about that practically every single day, because it's true. We can't do anything else. We can do nothing else. We're not the controllers. We're not the enjoyers. You know, we want to be, you know I want to be. I want to enjoy, and I want to control, and I want it now, right? We want to control, we want to enjoy, and we want it now. And sometimes it'll like float into that realm, you know, the mind, my mind. And, you know, I just have to pull it back and think, wait a minute. It's not, you know, that's not how to think. How to think is okay, Krishna's putting these things in my way or at me, or, you know, so we can learn, right? We're all here to learn, to grow, to try better serve Krishna, to purify our consciousness. And this is our assurance, you know, Lord Brahma has given us that, and Krishna, you know, sanctioned it, that we just have to hang on. We just have to hang on, and we have to try our best, and we have to show up, and we have to pray, and we have to chant, and try our best to please the Lord at all times. Yes? Opportunities. Yeah, opportunities for growth. Yeah. Yeah. They're obstacles. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Lord Achutya ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Kanvanta Maravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Akom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakalen Priti manti Pasyanti panti kayanti Chiram naganti Ananda chinmaya sadhu Jala vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Damodara Rati Vadana Veshe Hari Niskuta Brin Davi Pineshe Damodara Rati Vadana Veshe Hari Niskuta Brin Davi Pineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Vrishabhanudari Navashashireke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Vrishabhanudari Navashashireke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Karunam Kurmai Karuna Parite Sanaka Sanatana Vanita Charite Karunam Kururmai Karuna Parite Sanaka Sanatana Vanita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jayate Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Radhe Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya, Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya, Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya, Jaya. O Radha, all glories unto you, all glories unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavan, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu. You are the friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara. O Radha, please be merciful unto me. All of us. Jai. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya kairava chandrika vitarinam vidyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam niswadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vichayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrarnitami amita smarande nakalaha etadrisita vakripan bhagavan mamapi durdaivam idrishanihana nuragaha trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadhari Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vajagarisha Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktiratuki tvayi Anidanantuja kinkaram kavitamam vishame babandura Vipaya Taya Nayanam Naraya Manunam Kadgarayara Ulakartichamba Pukadam Namanavashiti Yugayatam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayatam Sunyayatam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vinayame Ashisha Bhavadam Nudam Samam Adarshana Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shikshastakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Please join us all today for a class by Mother Krishna Priya on the glories of Purushottamama. And that's today at 4:45, and that'll be followed by a presentation by our illustrious youth of New Goloka. So please join us today for our wonderful Sunday program and feast. Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yay. Wow.